Hey, good afternoon. I'm Jason Edwards, and welcome to Watch Your Six. So we've had a lot of questions and call-ins relating to the market and the market volatility we've seen lately, and a lot of buzzwords flying around. But one particular word that seems to stand out is the word tariffs. So we figured we'd dive into that a little bit today and talk about a tariff, what it is, and more importantly, how you might be able to navigate your investment decisions when you deal with these kind of scenarios. Now, a tariff is no more than a tax. It's a way a country sort of evens the playing field. You've got one country building something and they build it cheaper because they don't have to pay a certain amount of wages or their cost of goods are cheaper, and they're able to then sell it to another country at a lower price. It makes an uneven playing field. So the way you can mitigate that in some cases is you create a tax on those goods coming over. Therefore, the country receiving those goods doesn't have to lower its wages, doesn't have to lower its cost to build an item, and it makes it sort of equal. With many of the resources being global today, the abilities for countries to navigate or reduce their prices of production or cost is all over the place. So you've got countries, for example, that might move an auto plant across a certain border of another country because the cost to hire employees or the cost for goods in that country might be cheaper. And then what they do is they turn around and sell that good right back to the country they moved it from, which makes for, again, an unfair trade environment. So tariffs are something that do happen. However, traditionally, tariffs are used as a negotiating tool. You've heard that a lot. And the thing that we tell our clients is not to focus on the tariff or not to focus on the event when it comes to your investments, but to focus on the psychology behind investing. You see, unfortunately, when you get bad news, your first reaction is to respond. And usually, the first response is the wrong response. We don't want to let fear, again, going back to Watch Your Six, we don't want to let fear telescope our vision so that we're fixated on just the one problem we see as opposed to looking at opportunity. So again, going back to the word tariff, if you think about it, and it's a taxation scenario where maybe goods from another country might go up in cost, what are the opportunities for you as an investor? Do you look into those? Do you say, hey, what's this opportunity when it comes to this correction for me to maybe make money, for me to invest in certain scenarios? One of the most successful investors on the planet says, when people are scared, I buy. Well, that's true with investing. You have to then, again, mitigate your tendencies, mitigate your personal risks, mitigate your risk aversion is a better word, and look at the investments as a whole. If you have a sound investment with a long-term investment strategy, a good portfolio, and a good group of advisors helping you with that overall package, you don't have to worry about the 10-minute glitches that you see or the month-to-month fluctuations you see in the market, because those are just blimps on the radar. So again, what we want to stress is when you hear these dynamics of global scenarios, i.e. tariffs being impacted on another country, and because of that the initial market, or what we call the Dow or S&P, adjusts adversely, that's just a snapshot in time. Remember, we always go back on this show and we highlight some of the historical numbers. And I talked about this on a couple of shows a couple of weeks ago, but had you invested in the biggest market correction of our lifetime recently, which was 2008, where the market dropped dramatically, by today's standards, if you had invested in the S&P or Dow, either one of those indices, you'd probably be up 300 to 400%. But at the time, because of fear, because of emotion, and because of being telescoped on the issue, they didn't see the big picture. So when you're doing an investment strategy, you want to make sure that you're taking the investment strategy as a whole. And you're going to realize that when it comes to investing, you have outside variables, right? You have outside factors. You have government effects, you have global effects, you have economic market effects. Those are all things that are impact your investment. But if you look forward and you focus on the end game and the end objective, those effects or those blips that pop over time are going to be less of an impact to you. They're not going to necessarily drive you to make the wrong decisions. Again, in most cases when it comes to investing, the worst enemy we have is ourself. So I recommend in these environments, avoid the talking heads on TV, avoid the negative media or negative information. That's only going to feed into the negative narrative when it relates to your emotions. Sit back and look at something analytically. Bounce off your advice, or your ideas rather, to your advisory team. Ask their opinion. Maybe do a historical background, look at your scenario, back test it. Look at how your portfolio did over the last 10 or 15, 20 years. Those kind of resources can put your mind at ease, and also maybe look at it from a perspective, when this correction occurs, or this little blip I'm seeing now, what opportunity? So let me give you a scenario just to think about. Let's say you're a car manufacturing company and these tariffs have impacted your ability to manufacture cars in the other country. Well, now you have two choices. You either stay in that country or you possibly move your factory operation to the country where the tariffs are originating from. Well, what potential of investment do we have there? Well, now you've got investment opportunity in that country that is initiating the tariff, right? You've got job opportunity, you've got manufacturing opportunity, you've got cost of goods, transport costs drop, all kinds of different components. So I always tell people, look at market adjustments as an opportunity. When people are scared, like our well-known investor says, you look at it as an opportunity. You look at it as a way to maybe possibly take advantage of it. Of course, you want to make sure that your investment solution or your investment choice fits you as an individual. Remember, we talked about the keys, your time, your age, your horizon, your risk tolerance. Those are all key components. But don't let this one little glitch, whatever the glitch of the day is, impact your investment position so much that you become paralysis. I always use the term paralysis by analysis. You don't want to be paralyzed when it relates to your investment choices. You don't want to let what you're seeing on social media or necessarily what you're seeing in the TV world impact your choices. There are a lot of sound investment decisions and opportunities with every investment correction. So hopefully that clarified tariffs a little bit, took the boogeyman out of the closet. It's not the worst thing in the world. It usually is an opportunity to sort of renegotiate how you do business with another country. And if used properly, it adds to the investment capabilities of the country initiating the tariffs. It builds a more robust economic environment. One of the challenges you see in some of those countries is those countries that get away with cheaper cost or cheaper cost of goods, well, they get the opportunity to have more manufacturing jobs, right? They produce more objects or more product. Therefore, we as the United States, for example, we buy. We're a consumer-driven environment. Well, that's great, but when we have a scenario like we did with COVID and the supply chain runs out and we don't manufacture anything, what happens? Well, now you and I are buying hundreds of pounds of toilet paper like we did during COVID, or buying other amenities because we think, you know what, I'm never going to get another one of these because it's not coming from abroad. So it's always healthy to have an economic restart and to look at scenarios from a different perspective. Remember, on Watcher 6, our job is to look at it from all angles. Is there an opportunity? Is there something I'm not thinking about? Is there a risk maybe I'm not paying attention to? And if so, how can I position this, maybe table my emotion or my initial reaction, and do it in such a way that helps you benefit? Again, opportunity is what you make it. If you don't take advantage of it, if you don't navigate these pitfalls successfully, well, that's the key to success. And whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you're a small business owner, whether you're an executive, whether you're an individual just trying to invest, it's all about timing and execution. So we're going to try to give you more tools here on Watcher 6. We're going to try to keep you calm, help you fight your demons, so to speak, and give you guidance on what we think you should do on a regular basis when these kind of situations arise. So we look forward to having you on our next podcast. Thank you for tuning in. And Jason Edwards of Edwards Financial Services. Have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon.